Hi, I'm Owen Brannon, and this is our game, SporeFall. I am a programmer, sound designer, and game balancer for SporeFall. I was in charge of the early versions of the enemies and structures, soon moving into the audio and game balancing. Our game has a lot of individual parts to it that each get their own unique set of sounds and numbers. Our game includes the player, 4 weapons, 9 enemies with multiple abilities, 9 unique structures with 3 versions, 9 different songs, 15 voice lines, some ambiance, and some menu sounds. Most of these sounds were gathered and edited by me for our game, having to add in a total of 7 volume sliders so our players can configure it to their own liking. Each of the weapons, enemies, and structures all need their own testing dozens of times to create the most balanced version of our game. With wanting varying levels of difficulty in our game, we made a second level and created second, harder versions of our enemies and gave them unique abilities to separate them more from the original, creating a much harder second level after our first level was complete. The different levels of difficulty was tested multiple times to make sure players of varying skill levels could play, then leading us to create an easier mode for both of our levels so that players could get to experience both levels to their fullest. My goal was to allow players to enjoy the game how they wanted to, either hard or easy, with or without a teammate. I hope you enjoy our game, SporeFall.
Hey, I'm Eden Essex, and I'm one of the 3D artists for SporeFall. My job was basically to model, texture, and animate the characters, structures, and weapons for the game. Almost all of my designs are based off the concept art Avery made. The only things I really came up with by myself were the player character, which is this one, and our red cap, which is this character right here. For this project, I spent a lot of time sculpting and animating the basic enemies you'll find in the game. Luckily, those 2 things are my favorite part of the process. I made everything in Blender, and I usually started off by sculpting Avery's designs by hand, retopologizing them, painting the textures, creating the rig from scratch, and then animating all of the actions my group wanted. All of the animations in this game are handmade, which takes a lot of time, but I'm really proud with the way it turned out.
My name is Sierra and I'm the lead level designer for SporeFall. I worked mostly on level 1 designing different assets to go with the glowing forest theme we had, and I wanted to make the spore pods look corrupted to go along with our corrupted shroom enemies, but make the rest of the forest more glowy and pretty with glowing mushrooms and pretty colorful trees. I got sick for level 2, so my teammates took over for most of that swamp level, but I filled the scene in with some small decorative items to make it pop more since it's very dark and green.
Hello, my name is Avery Morris, and I am the concept artist and UI developer for SporeFall. My first tasks were to come up with and draw designs for several enemies, the weapons they drop, and determine what the mechanics of each would be. Each enemy is inspired by a different kind of fungus with different colors and shapes to easily identify all of them and intuit what they do at a glance, while having unifying features of vines and or thorns and the color red to signify that they are all related enemies. I programmed many of the menus and UI UX elements, including the main menu, pause menu, implementing settings that save between scenes, tutorial prompts for the main levels, icons for player lives, structures, and weapons, high corruption indicators, the bar that tracks wave progression, and making buttons look as if they were pressed in when clicked. I had to make sure that all of these and more would work in both single player and co-op, and that controllers could be used for all menu navigation as well as the mouse and keyboard. Finally, I designed the sprites for all UI elements, going with a clean, simple style and thick outlines to match the cartoony style of the rest of the game, with limited and consistent colors across all elements. All of my art was made with a combination of Ibis Paint X and Clip Studio Paint.
Hello, I'm Yeferson, the lead programmer and game designer for SporeFall. I developed our core gameplay systems, implemented visual effects and assets, and made sure everything ran smoothly. I built our third-person shooter to feel smooth and responsive, with full support for both keyboard and controllers. I also added split-screen co-op so a second player can jump in anytime. To add variety, I designed a modular weapon system and a structure placing tool for the players, using the same framework. I also created a flexible wave system and enemy behavior. Each enemy has its own stats, target priorities, and attacks, built with scriptable objects for easy balancing and variety. I integrated all the character models, animations, and special effects, things like hit impacts, explosions, and shaders. I also implemented a custom pooling system to keep performance stable during big fights. The system that I had the most fun creating was the customization system that allows players to freely color their robots. I am proud of what we built as a team, and I can't wait for players to dive into SporeFall.